What's up, guys? It's Chris from Purple Tiki Hermit Crabs. I was thinking a lot today and decided to make a video because I want to talk about why I'm so passionate about these hermit crabs. Some of you may see me post on Facebook. Some of you whom I know personally may see posts about it and wonder what the big deal is. I want to start by saying that the hermit crabs themselves are an exotic pet. And I know that sounds funny because, you can get them for $7. They're kind of thought about as a throwaway pet. And it's not the way it is, guys. First and foremost, most of the, if not, well, not even most, all of the crabs that you guys find in the pet stores, PetSmart, Petco, the beach souvenir shops, and so forth, they were taken directly from the wild. And they get warehoused in these crates that aren't properly set up for them. They get transported in burlap sacks to pet stores and so forth, and they're just not cared for the way they should be. So by the time they get to you, they're already stressed out. They're already in bad shape because they haven't had the proper environment and requirements met for them, let alone food and water, which also are lacking in those situations. So by the time they get to you, they're the throwaway $7 pet in your pet store because they're on the verge of death. Let's be real. And I know that's kind of harsh the way I just worded that, but that's the reality of the situation. And so I want to relay the message about them and shed some light on some things for people that may not understand why I'm so passionate about, my guys, right? I won't say that I knew what I was doing when I first got them, so I'm not judging anybody. My page on Facebook, Purple Tiki Hermit Crabs, is more about helping people so that if they get into keeping hermit crabs, they don't make the mistakes that others, including myself, have made. And they can avoid that stress and those things that can be detrimental to the crabs. Guys, we have people out there that will pay hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for other exotic pets that don't live as long. Again, I'm not trying to degrade any other exotic pet or pet owner. Guys, hermit crabs, if in the proper conditions, in captivity, can live anywhere from 20 to 40 years. And those are the averages. There's some that have lived longer. There's some that don't because of sickness and so forth. But that's a lifetime commitment, guys, to that $7 pet. So something's wrong in that equation. I can buy a pet that can live 40 years for $7, but you can't unless you have the rest of the information. And see, that's where a lot of these places and people online, adopt, don't shop. There's a lot of progress is being made in captive breeding. And, when that gets to a certain point, yes, the prices will go up, but it's worth that to leave the wild alone, right? To not steal them from their natural environment, to not take them off the beaches and take them and put them in the burlap sacks in the warehouses and so forth. So the point I'm trying to make there is the captive breeding and the adopting is so, first of all, great, but right now it's scarce. There's not a lot of people doing it. There's not a lot of people that are having some of the successes that others are. And so that part of the whole process needs to build before it can change the industry. What I am trying to tell you is that there's so much more that we're learning every day with different people. And most of those people that are doing the research are hobbyists. They're the people like you and I at home with these pets because the science isn't there on a lot of levels for these creatures, these animals. And I feel for the animals. That's where my passion is derived. I feel for the idea that they are such a special little animal, and yet they are treated as less than. They're treated like it's no big deal. We can get little Jimmy this, crab at the beach store. He'll die in 6 months, and then we can move on. That's a bad deal. That's just not the way it should be. I want to talk also about Facebook groups, right? There's a lot of Facebook groups out there for hermit crab advocacy and awareness and care and so forth and so on. Let me just tell you some of the things that I've experienced and or some of the rules of some of these pages. Tell me that this makes sense with people that are supposed to care about the animals. Don't share other pages. That's a big one for me, guys. If we're all in this for the animals, why wouldn't you encourage people to get the information from all the avenues that are available so that they can make the appropriate decisions and arrangements and changes in their enclosures and so forth so that these animals can thrive? So that's a big one for me when these groups don't want you to speak of any others existing. I saw a rule on one page, and it says, don't argue with, or realize who you're arguing with. The admins and moderators are always right. What about when they're wrong? And see, this is where, again, some of the people that may be interested in furthering their hobby as far as keeping the hermit crabs, maybe they want to get into the other side where they learn about breeding and they can try those processes. But then you have people telling you, if I'm saying it, I'm right and you're wrong, so that's it. I'll never understand that rule, because the majority of breakthroughs come from those who were wrong before they were right. If you can't learn from one another, you're never going to progress. And this goes to a lot of these groups out there, not just one in particular that had that rule. This goes to a lot of the groups that are on Facebook for hermit crabs specifically. If you're not sharing the information as widely spread as you can, how can you say you're helping? There are different organizations that believe in different processes. That's fine. There are different sciences behind those processes, and that's wonderful. Guys, if we're working together, that's the way we make a difference. So if I bring that back to the pet side of things, where I am and where you may be, or where you're looking into getting into, people like myself and many, many others are out there to help you learn and progress and keep your hermit crabs happy and healthy and have the fulfilling life they deserve, while your life is fulfilled and enlightened by their existence. I gotta tell you guys, I sit and watch these guys in their tanks and just watch their curious nature. I watch when they get excited about something. I watch when they interact together, and it's amazing. I don't want to sit here and say it's like church, but it's peaceful to watch my happy, healthy crabs doing their thing. And no, I've had a part in it because of their care, right? That's amazing. But there are places that online that don't want, you to experience that unless, of course, they gave you the information that helped you do so. I don't find that to be correct at all. Guys, the hermit crabs, there's a long process ahead of us in the hermit crab community of getting again, the breeding and the adopting going, which is why I'm so happy to be a part of the Tiny Claws Hermit Crab Rescue Network. Because most of those crabs have already been purchased from a store. They were kept by someone who no longer could keep them, and God knows what kind of conditions they may or may not be have kept in. And so when someone like Lori, who is the Tiny Claws Rescue, brings them in, puts them in an environment that they can thrive in, and helps them become healthier and happier and have a more fulfilling life, there's nothing more that I'd want to be a part of than something like that. To then be able to turn those crabs around to someone who wants to do the same and have that forever home for them. So I do want people to check out, obviously, our Facebook page with Tiny Claws Hermit Crab Rescue Network. I want you to check out my page, obviously, of course, at Purple Tiki Hermit Crabs. Those are both on Facebook. And through those two, we're providing other resources to make sure you get the information that is necessary. On my page in particular, there's care sheets. There's going to be videos like this that are posted through YouTube and linked over there and so forth. There's a lot we're trying to do right now to set up the network. We're getting vendors, and we're getting people that are able to foster. We're getting people that are able to adopt, people that are able to help us transport between foster and adopt. There's a lot going on in the background with that, and that's just a piece of the puzzle in the overall picture. Let's talk about the hermit crabs again before I end this. Guys, these are a really complex animal. They have, and I'm gonna use my little model here. They have an exoskeleton for what you can see, but then inside the shell is a soft underbelly and body. There are certain care requirements, certain shell requirements, and so forth that make these seem, to those that want to look into it, to be a complicated animal, a complicated process to get them to the place where they're happy and healthy. I got to tell you guys, as much as I've done to research and learn about these animals, if I can do it, then anybody can do it. And that's not, a slight on myself. The thing is, setting up the proper environment, then getting the crabs after you've learned all of these things beforehand is the ideal situation. And we know that's not always the case. It's not going to be the case. And it wasn't the case for me. I didn't have the ideal situation before I got crabs. I got crabs and then learned the ideal situation and played catch up. So if you're thinking about getting into the world of hermit crab keeping, please visit the pages I've mentioned and get the information and set up before you adopt your crabs. Once you can get the crabs into that environment, it becomes easy, but you need the knowledge that we're trying to provide on these different sites and different pages so that you can benefit the crab as the crab's owner by providing the correct environment, the correct food, the correct heat, the correct humidity, the correct accessories in your tank, which we call enrichment, to help them enjoy themselves. There's a lot that goes into doing it right, but once you have it right, it's like a pool. Once you have everything dialed in, you just have to maintain it. And that's not as hard as it sounds. Again, if I can do it, so can you. So this is my little video to tell you a little bit about hermit crab advocacy, education, and awareness. Because, again, they're an exotic pet stolen from their home. People pay thousands of dollars for other exotic pets, but they don't for these guys because they don't understand them. Would I gladly gladly pay $20, $30, $40 a crab to get a crab. Certainly, as long as the science and the backing and the adoption process and the breeding and everything else is there to say it was done right. Absolutely. Is that where it's going to be priced? God only knows. It's got to start somewhere, guys, grassroots. And so we're trying to do our part with Purple Tiki Hermit Crabs, Tiny Claws Hermit Crab Rescue Network. We're trying to do our part to make sure that even if you're not someone who's going to keep hermit crabs, just to raise awareness of what these guys go through. I hope this has been insightful. I'll do more videos myself, with Keith, with Livy. You know, the whole family's involved in this, so we're going to try to get some interviews together and go that way as well. So I hope you've learned something from this video. And by all means, guys, if anybody is interested in rescuing some hermit crabs or starting into hermit crab keeping, or both, by all means, reach out through those pages I've mentioned, and we'll do our best to get you going on the right path and try to enlighten and enhance your life with the life of hermit crabs. Till next time, guys, take care.